In British Columbia, steelheading is like a religion, and steelheaders are committed.
What I'm looking for is something that's going to be along the lines of this, with a hackle tip on the top. We'll make sure to leave the hook barbless, but make sure we have the nice Bartlett bend to it. And it'll be a little bit bigger, a little bit larger. I think it'll fit a little bit better.
I don't think that'll be a problem. I've actually done a few before. I got a couple flies. And I've also got tight lines on there, which is I think every fisherman can relate to. One I got. Salmon with the fly line in there and everything. Tickle tackle.
Tickle tackle.
Yeah, girls love that one.
Yeah.
It's got the big Islander anodized reel, the fly rod rammed right through his head.
And why not? That there is something as fanatical as an underground steelhead fly fishing tattoo scene in Vancouver may have something to do with the fact that there's no other place on Earth like BC to swing for sea-run steel. Come with us as we turn the time-honored history and art of Pacific Northwest steelheading into a modern fly fishing adventure. Our journey begins in the tiny steelheading capital of Terrace, where we join our host and guide Geoff Straight for a final supply of flies before heading out of town towards Bell Lodge, 200 miles north along the legendary Cassiar Highway. We soon enter the Nass River watershed, a vast remote wilderness defined by the main stem Nass, Damdochax, and Bell Irving rivers, an ancestral home to the Nisga'a Indians. Along the way, we are treated to a traditional display of song, drums, and dance that tells the story of the tribe's historic reliance on the area's rich runs of salmon and steelhead. Another unique element of the local economy is the collection and sale of pine mushrooms, a commodity delicacy in Asia, which in certain years can generate millions of dollars for British Columbia's native peoples.
Well, I buy them for a broker in Vancouver, and they ship it to Vancouver the next day.
And then they sell them direct to restaurants?
To Japan and restaurants.
Oh, Japan.
And down the States too, Boston, they all love this.
Are they hard to find?
Smell them.
Oh yeah? That's how you do it?
I can. My sister can too. I don't know about anybody else.
As you see, there's a little bit of veil on this one here. Very little. So that is goes into a number 3 basket with a little bit of veil on there. And if it's got no veil on there, it's open all the way around, that's number 4. And if it starts going up, curling up like that towards a cowboy hat, it goes into number 5. And it's different price ranges, because these right now is $20 a pound, number 2 is $6 a pound, $3 a pound, $2 a pound, and $1 a pound. The most I ever bought these mushrooms for is $325 a pound. And last year I bought for $2 and $3 a pound.
Wow.
So every year is different. The best way to do it, other than frying it in a frying pan with garlic butter and a little bit of seasoning, is just put it on a stick and put it over a fire. It's really good that way.
Well, we better buy a couple of those for the lodge tonight, right? Well, we'll buy the number 5s.
It's late fall in northwestern BC, so rain, wind, and fog are to be expected. But snow and ice? When we arrive at Bell Steelhead Lodge, it looks more like the helicopter ski facility it is in winter, and we all convene to the warmth and fellowship of the upstairs lounge, where an impromptu Scotch seminar is being conducted by a fellow angler from across the pond.
Most of you know of Oban. It's called by Americans Oban, so you can see it's got a lovely colour. Most malt whiskies, if you know, are categorized as either sweet, which means that they put a higher burnt sugar content into the whiskey, or it's peat, which means that it is bitter or tart on the palate.
Best Oban I ever had.
Okay, Vern. Vern, is it Pete or sweet?
It's sweet.
It's actually Pete.
The plush accommodations at Bell 2 Lodge provide welcome comfort for our group of hardened steelheaders, and we're up at first light ready for the river. Ever the well-clad angler, Vern Olson tries to decide on his sunglasses for the day, unaware at first that we've caught his primping on film as an unscripted nod to our sponsor. Then it's into waders and cold weather gear and out to the trucks to load up the rods for the short drive to the Bell Irving River, a steelhead-rich tributary of the Nass. As is usually the case on the first day of any steelhead fishing trip, the conversation quickly turns to casting, and when Vern, Skagit-style guru extraordinaire, starts dishing out the tips, everyone listens.
And with the line stick on the water, if you do it properly, you gotta way back off on the forward cast or it'll blow up on you because there's so much power available from the line stick on the water from the slack line.
Watching Vern blast an entire Spey line across a big northwest river is a thing of beauty and a seemingly unattainable aspiration for us all. We turn off the Cassiar Highway down a short road to the put-in. The weather gods have definitely delivered an early taste of winter, leaving Andy Murray of England a bit dubious of his first Canadian steelhead outing.
Brilliant weather. First snow of the season. Can't wait. Just feels like being back at home on the Tweed. Summer steelhead fishing. Great.
Utilizing 2 boats fully loaded with everything we could possibly need for a brisk day on the Bell Irving, we head upstream in search of the perfect run. For years, the Bell was discounted as a viable steelhead river, thought to be unfishable due to excessive glacial influence. That perfect conditions are more the exception than the rule is probably true, as weather this far north can be a huge and immediate factor in water clarity and flow. That the river is unfishable has been soundly disproven by Geoff Straight and his guides at Bell 2 Lodge. The temperature crawls just above freezing and begins to melt the snow along the riverbank, but it's hard to shake the nagging thought that it just might be a little too cold, even for steelheading. At our first stop, Vern begins a methodical march down the middle of the run, demonstrating his nearly effortless style of casting, off either shoulder, as he pounds out monster casts in search of sea-run treasure. Andy commences the same drill from the top of the run, but utilizes the more traditional, yet equally powerful, Spey cast of his homeland. After 2 hours of freezing, fishless prospecting, Vern and Andy need a break.
Cold enough for you, Andy? I tell you, the air feels good, but the toes are barking. 38. Maybe a nudge over 38. Well, the old pros down in Skagit County, guys like Phil Lund, insist 42. Got to have 42 for the fish to move to the fly. Huh? Time for something.
Bell 2 Lodge maintains several warm-up tents complete with wood stoves and all the fixings for a hearty lunch. Although the weather is slowly improving, it still takes a hot bowl of soup to warm the blood and persuade us back onto the river. And while we've all been thawing out next to the fire, our guide JC has managed to sneak in a few casts and succeeds in hooking the first steelhead of the day. It's a nice little fish, and all the evidence we need to once again believe.
Wild on the fly.